They see the crown and not the heart, the weight of gold, but not the pulse beneath. I walk marbled halls with centuries echoing in every step, every gaze expecting grace, every word weighed like ancient coin, but behind my smile lies a secret. I too long to be seen not as a figure but as a soul. There was a day the wind carried laughter instead of duty, when I met you not as a princess, but as a girl who forgot the throne existed. You were unaware, and that made it real. You didn't bow, you didn't flinch. Your eyes didn't scan my shoulders for jewels. They found my eyes, and I felt human. I became soft clay in a world of carved stone. That moment, fleeting and accidental, became the tapestry I returned to in dreams. If only the world paused with us, if only titles vanished, like mist in morning sun. I keep you there, in memory's safe garden. My guards don't patrol there. No protocol rules my heart. And in that space, I whisper your name to the moon. You didn't know I was royalty. How refreshing that was. You spoke to me like I mattered for nothing more than my thoughts. I had long forgotten what it meant to be heard without translation, to be liked without preface. You asked me what made me laugh, not what palace I lived in. I answered with a stifled grin. Already feeling the tug of rules, I wasn't ready to obey. Still, I lingered. I lingered in your presence longer than I should have. A forbidden fruit tempted by its own bloom. You stood unaware, leaning casually, as if fate hadn't just split open the sky and rewritten my stars. I studied your voice. I memorized the slope of your words. I held each glance like a relic. Yet I said nothing of who I was. Not because I wished to deceive you, but because I wished, for once, not to be defined. You let me exist freely. That in itself was a gift. And I, unarmed, unveiled, unseen as air, found something I'd never expected. Love in disguise, quietly blooming between stolen seconds. How many nights can a heart replay a moment before it becomes eternal? I ask myself that each evening as candles flicker in royal quiet. Behind my windows, the world dreams of queens and crowns, but I dream of one afternoon, and an unnamed boy with eyes that didn't see my future, only my now. Love like this isn't loud. It doesn't parade through grand entrances or flourish beneath velvet banners. It slips through cracks in protocol, hides in silence between state dinners and ceremonial smiles. I wore a gown that day, one chosen to impress foreign dignitaries, but I don't recall its fabric. I only remember the way your presence made me feel weightless. I've learned to walk with poise, but that day I floated. You didn't know it, but you granted me something no royal court could decree, an escape, a breath, a possibility. I treasure it, not as a scandal, but as a truth the world wouldn't understand. I left that place unchanged, in title, but transformed in heart. If I never see you again, still, you'll remain the name stitched behind every official silence. Do you know what it means to carry a country on your back, to speak not for yourself, but for history? I've learned to wear diplomacy like perfume, always present, never overwhelming. Yet around you, I forgot my rehearsed responses. I spoke like a girl, not a delegate. I became light, unburdened. For a moment, I was Leonor, not Her Royal Highness. You laughed at my sarcasm, and didn't flinch when I teased. That alone made my world tilt. I wondered if you'd still smile that way, if you knew who I was. But the fear of changing your expression kept me silent. Royalty often demands silence in exchange for admiration. But I didn't want admiration. I wanted connection. I wanted you to see me the way I saw you. Unguarded, imperfect, beautifully unaware. There is irony in hiding within the very truth that defines me. But I did it to protect that sacred spark, not because it's forbidden, but because it's real. And in this life, real things are the most fragile. So I wrap you in memory, not ceremony. I keep your laughter hidden beneath my titles, and there, you remain safe. I often wonder what love feels like for those unbound by tradition. Do they run freely through fields of emotion, untethered by the weight of protocol and ancient vows? Or do they take it for granted, never knowing the effort it takes to preserve something unspoken? You were my secret rebellion, my silent anthem. In a world where everything is known before I say it, you were the only mystery I ever wanted to solve slowly. You asked me what kind of music I liked. Do you remember? I said classical, because it was safe, but my heart screamed something wild and new. Music with rhythm, with rebellion, with fire. You were that song, not composed, but spontaneous, not arranged, but I didn't dare reach out then, not because I didn't want to, but because I feared the walls that would rise the moment I touched what I desired. So I let you go, not because you didn't matter, but because you mattered too much. And now, the only place I hold you is in verses like these, where titles dissolve, and I speak only as a girl in love. Time moves differently in the palace. Days stretch with duty, and nights whisper with solitude. Yet the hours I think of you are never long enough. In my private journals, I sketch your silhouette from memory, tracing your shadow with words I dare not say aloud. Each letter becomes a vow, each rhyme a confession. Poetry is my rebellion, the only place I can kiss you without scandal. In the margins of royal history, I am writing a love story that no herald will declare, but my heart will always recognize. You, a boy without rank, became the one name my heart beats to, and I, girl with a crown too heavy for her dreams, became someone real when you looked at me. Sometimes I wonder, had I told you the truth, would you have run, or would you have stayed, dazzled not by my title, but by my vulnerability? I may never know, but I'll cherish that ignorance, because in not knowing, our moment remains perfect, untouched by reality, unspoiled by expectation. A fairy tale that happened once, not in fiction, but in the fleeting truth of a royal heart. The world paints me in gold, but love taught me I am made of fire and longing. When I close my eyes, I don't see flags or cameras. I see your hands, ordinary, strong, unpolished. I remember wanting to hold them, just once, in defiance of everything I represent. But wanting and doing are oceans apart in my life. I live in the space between. I hold tea with dignitaries, while my heart sits on a park bench, waiting for a boy who doesn't know he was loved by a prince. That paradox defines me now. To the world I am composure and heritage, but inside I am softness and storm. I wonder, do you remember me? Do you replay that moment as I do? Or was I just a passing breeze in your summer afternoon? Either way, I am grateful, because for a few precious minutes I lived outside my story. I wrote a new one, and though the ink fades with time, the feeling never does. It's the echo I carry through state visits and rehearsed smiles. Love in disguise, still beating beneath velvet sleeves. Sometimes I pass the place we met in silence, hidden in a car with tinted glass. I stare out the window and pretend you'll appear again, leaning just as you were, laughing without knowing you were being watched by history's daughter. There's something beautiful in not being recognized. It gave me freedom. I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to meet expectations centuries old. With you I wasn't Leonor the air. I was Leonor, the girl who likes storms, who reads poems under moonlight, who fears she'll never be truly known. If I could live that day again, I wouldn't change a thing, not even the silence, because silence, in our case, was sacred. It protected what we felt. I didn't need declarations. Your presence was enough. Even now, in the stillness of protocol and performance, I return to that memory, like one returns to prayer. And I speak your name, not aloud, but through the quiet ache of my chest. If love is meant to free us, then you were my freedom. And in this disguise, I loved you wholly, quietly, forever. I've read of queens who married for kingdoms and smiled for paintings. History doesn't often allow women like me to choose their hearts. We are vessels of legacy, not passion. But in that single meeting, you gave me a choice, even if only in my imagination. You gave me a glimpse of what it means to be loved, not for lineage, but for laughter. That's a rare kind of treasure, in a world made of